to the Culturally Distinct Podcast. This is your boy DJ KO. I'm glad you guys joined me today. We have a special show for you guys today. Last week we had a special show about dating, and I had a lot of DMs, a lot of comments about what was going on and how can I get on the show and what kind of questions could be asked. So I appreciate you guys for reaching out to me and subscribing to the channel and just give me your opinion on what's your opinion on how things should happen, how things shouldn't happen, and just giving me and critiquing the show. So I appreciate that, guys. Make sure you tell a friend and tell a friend to continue to subscribe to our show, Culturally Distinct. We try to bring distinctions to our culture. We try to bring them on camera so we could understand our culture a little bit better and we could push the culture forward. So today we have a special guest. I know this brother, he's very busy and he's been doing this for a long time. So the idea of this show was I wanted to bring a family on of Black men to talk about issues and misunderstandings that they have within in our race and within families. And I wanted to bring Dr. Napoleon Hill on. I'm sorry, not Dr. Napoleon Higgins on. I'm sorry, Doc. Dr. Napoleon Higgins on to talk about some things that we face as Black men, young men, in families, and how our communication is kind of off and things of such. So everybody, I'd like to welcome to the show the owner and the CEO of Bay Pointe Behavioral Services, Dr. Napoleon Higgins. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Great to be here with you, with us men together. You know what I'm saying? It's good to see Black men talking about what's going on in our homes, our families, within ourselves, effective communication. So it's always lovely to be a part of anything like this where we're delivering good information to our people. So I appreciate you having me, and thanks so much for the invite.
Appreciate it. So today also we have two other guests that joined the show. Some other guests might be chiming in. Right now we have Kenny Nelson and we have Ryan Johnson. What's going on, guys?
Hey man, how you doing?
Awesome.
What's up, man?
Awesome. So let's jump right into it, man. So Doc, the biggest issues I believe and struggles that we have amongst Black men, I think our communication. We don't know how to. I think we don't know how to communicate with each other. So I guess my first question would be, what are some tools and techniques in learning how to communicate with each other? Because we have ego, and we have, especially when it comes to family, we know each other. Say that we've been knowing each other since we was small. So when a person gets older, they can't see that other side. So Doc, what you for as effective communication?
Well, I mean, the one thing is that we've got to be able to have non-judgmental ears towards one another, realizing that we all need to talk and communicate. If you put two humans in the same room, the first thing they're going to do is say something. All right. Even if they don't even speak the same language, they're going to say something over a period of time. And so we have to make sure that we're able to reach out. Too often we're in a situation of judgment. We hear even within our music and our culture, we hear about the strong Black man, so essentially I'm a strong Black man. I can work through these things or whatever it might be, realizing that we all need help. We all live in a culture and a community we nobody got here by themselves. So essentially we all had a mother and a father and sisters and brothers and uncles and preachers in the church community and grandmas and all these kind of things that are all about communicating. But at some level, we are taught that as men, we don't have pain, or to show your pain is to show weakness.
Right.
And sadly, I believe in the Black community, I think a lot of that comes from slavery. I mean, we are taught that we don't talk about the pains of what's going on because we've been training our minds to not talk about it. And then if somebody does talk about it, then we start judging folk about it, realizing that I tell folk, you're a man, but you ain't a mule. You're human. You got emotions, and you're made in the image of God, and God has emotions. He has love and he has anger. And so that is within you as well. And it's okay to have that. It's okay to have sorrow. It's okay to have pain. And we need to be in a safe space where we can talk about that. But we come from a situation where for over hundreds of years of being exploited, being misused, you didn't own your body, you didn't own, your own home. Your wife didn't own her body. She could be sent away or sold, or your kids could be sold. So these type of things have gone on with us, and we've stayed quiet about it, and we don't want to talk about those things. So even if you look at today, well, obviously, I would say slavery is over. That's another story for a different day. But the fact is that even through, slave codes and Jim Crow, civil rights movement, Black Lives Matter, we still see ourselves being controlled by other individuals and not always in charge of our circumstances. So when when you come home from a hard day, the wife says, "How things been?" You're like, "I'm fine." And then she's like, "Well, you don't look fine. I told you I'm fine. Then why you having an attitude with me?" And then next thing you know, we start up the argument because we mad about something that happened on the job where essentially we didn't get the promotion, or we see ourselves getting passed up, or you're seeing the other people being celebrated for the same job that you're doing, and maybe you're even doing it a little bit better. So all of these things go into where we are and how we feel, and too often we don't have a safe space where we can open up where it won't be used against you. So, if a man says that, man, I found out my woman was cheating on me, and man, I've been hurt ever since. Cats be like, and move on. They got plenty of other women out there. What you worried and crying about that for? What, man, stop being a sucker, man. Move on. And all these other things where we can't share what's going on. And so we need to find our safe spaces to be able to discuss our emotions without judgment. And the fact is that sometimes we need to talk to a professional.
Okay.
Because by talking to a professional, it's not going to get back around to other folks. You tell me something about whatever, I can guarantee I ain't talking to my wife about what we talked about in a private session.
Correct.
Why is that? Because I'm a professional. This is what I do. I'm a, some would say I'm a keeper of many secrets, but the fact is that everybody is going through something. Nobody goes through life unscathed, and every person has something going on right now.
Right.
There's something going on. And so we got to be in safe spaces where we can talk as Black men.
Well, you said something that caught my ear. You said being controlled by others. Now, that term others, I want to put religion. You said something about music. You said something about friends. You said something about our jobs. We're controlled by others because of necessity, because we have to, I guess, have that machismo attitude about everything. I got it. I heard something today. I think a guy was saying he was in a room with a billionaire, and he wanted to go over there and talk to the billionaire, just to say hello, how you doing, and just see if he could pick his brain. And he was saying, his friend was like, "Nah, don't go over there." And the guy was like, "Why not?" So long story short, he was like, "Everybody wants to be so cool." I'm like, yo, but cool isn't the thing to be, you know what I mean? He's like, "I'm trying to get some information. He's a billionaire. I'm trying to get to where he is financially, but you want me to be cool." It was like, I got it. We don't have all the answers, right? So that's my next question is, how can we get out of that as men? That ego, that I got it, I'm cool, oh, I don't need it, I don't need help, stuff like that.
How you gotta make a decision for yourself, and you've got to find those people who can run with you. The fact is that billionaires love to tell people how they got $1 billion. They don't do no secrets to it because somebody told them. Correct. Somebody encouraged them. I mean, billionaires talk about billionaire kind of stuff. They don't talk about, hustling for a nickel over well, now hold on, let me say that. I was gonna say a nickel over gum, but the fact is that if you sell enough gum, you can have $1 billion worth of gum. So people who have money talk about money, and they love sharing the information with you. So if your pride is keeping you away from something, as the Bible says, pride comes before a fall. That is a problem that you have. So if I walk in a room, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a doc, I make good money, all right, especially to how I grew up. So the fact is that I know if I walk into a room and I see this dude is a doc and he has more money than me, he's doing a lot of good things, because when you have money, you can use it for other things. or
Right.
other things that you want to help folk with. So my point is, I want to know, hey, tell me about how you doing, what you're doing. And people with money talk about money all the time. They don't hesitate. Now, of course, I can't ask you all your private business. There's a, but the fact is that you don't want to hesitate and keep you from getting your blessing because your own pride got in the way. So we've got to be in a situation when you're selfless about who you are and you're willing to share with other people, you tend to be around other people who are willing to share with you. And we just got to have open and honest conversations within one another and not let that manhood, machismo, I already know everything. No, nobody knows everything. And I can guarantee you, Jeff Bezos is going to have a conversation with another billionaire about how to get money and then probably how to keep your money from getting divorced and losing half of it. So
Right.
all of these are conversations that individuals with money have.
So I got a question for the brothers also. This is a question for the brothers. Are you guys, I know in a lot of situations we are quote unquote wrong. But we can't be wrong in the front of a certain person. Are you guys willing to accept the possibility that you're wrong in front of the person that you least want to be wrong in front of?
Mm.
This is the question for the gentleman. Kenny and Ron.
Yeah, I know. I'm taking my time to speak.
Because I haven't heard. I didn't hear the question because I got a bad signal.
Oh, okay. So I said, are you willing to accept the possibility of being wrong in front of the person that you feared? I'm gonna say fear the most of being wrong in front of.
I mean,
Well, I think
everybody. Go ahead.
no, I mean, you're saying the person that we fear the most. I'm thinking that you have to probably deal with the fear before you're able to address something that you're going through. So, because being vulnerable, you can't be vulnerable with everyone. I know I hear you talking about, we open up and talk to the other guys. It's not that easy to open up and talk to the other guys, especially if you're not close to them, especially if you don't have a relationship with them. So, I can accept being wrong,
Okay.
but even if I know I'm right, I can still take it and say I'm sorry. You know, I I can be wrong, but even though I can also look at the other person's point of view. I try to take myself and out of my shoes and look at the other person's point of view. And I think that, most of the times I'll accept it in some situations, in some cases, just so that I can get past it, because that person might not be in the same place where I am, or I might not be in their place and where they are, to say, you know what, all right, I can accept this and say I was wrong, or I'm sorry. Let's just get past it right now. So I believe, yes, I'm at a place where I can do that now.
Okay. Kenny?
I mean, I believe that it is hard to accept being wrong, but as you age and learn different things, you should be able to hear other people's point of view and
All right.
accept accept what they, what I'm saying, accept how they feel. Um and vice versa with the other person. Like, some people think if you tell them something, or say if you've seen something and you want to report it back to them, make, to let them know how you feel about it, they feel like you're hating on them. They don't want to accept the wrong. So then now it's a fight. And it when you get older, you don't want to fight. You just want to try to make things right. So yeah, I mean, it ain't always about being right. It's just always about just,
It's all about being right.
trying to
It's not
understand.
about being right.
uh, It's not always about being. It's all just about understanding one another. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Talk about this. And you said
So
something. You said something I want to jump into. You said two things. You said fear and conflict. So I want to touch on fear. With Now we're still talking about the base of black men, fear within black men. And guys, you could chime in anytime you want. uh, I feel that some people that are in my close circle, I I don't want to have conflict with them. So I fear what I might do to them, not physically, but emotionally. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the thing is, I guess you want to say out of love, you don't want to hurt their feelings because that's what you think is going to hurt their feelings. But it's like, okay, how do I resolve this conflict without, how do I resolve this conflict and overcoming my fear and helping not just myself, but the other individual at the same time?
Well, I
But
mean,
I
well, the
got a
fact,
question.
yeah, go ahead, please.
I'm s- I'm sorry on that same question. How much wrong do you have to take before you start to enable that person to grow? Because if you're wrong all the time and you're taking that lick or you taking it upon your shoulders in that relationship, whatever it is, then how many times can you take it before you can say, all right, this person is not growing, this person is not saying, you know what, I might be wrong in this situation also. So when do you actually say, you know, the hell with it, I'm about to tell you the truth?
Well, as a movie, I forget it says you can't handle the truth. Well, the fact is that I can't tell you
Give it
everything
to me
that's on my
right, Doc. I
mind.
need the truth because we got
Yeah,
to
yeah.
deal with it.
Everything that's on my mind doesn't need to come out. Realizing that circumstances change. I may
Yeah,
be right about it now, but I may be wrong about it later. So
right.
essentially, the kid believes that he's going to be the next, I don't know, Shaquille O'Neal. But you're in the eighth grade, and you
Right.
five, and you 4'9", 4'10".
Right.
Well, chances of
Hmm.
you being that next guy very slim, especially you being a small guy. Now, I don't know where your growth
So who
spurt
gonna
will be.
tell it?
Yeah, so I ain't gonna tell
Right.
you the truth of what I feel, but I will continue to encourage you. But I will add to that, have you considered, you're also a good student, or you're really good at soccer as well. You got to look at all your different options of what you have. So
Mm.
everybody's not ready for the truth, and realizing that the truth can unfold on its own. But I think a lot of times a reason that on our own personal note of why we don't want to talk about the truth is that when we expose the truth, we expose what we don't have. And every man's biggest fear is being inadequate. Inadequate for the situation, inadequate for your marriage,
That's true.
inadequate
Oh,
for
say
your
that again,
relationship.
Doc. Say that again. Say that again. I like that.
That's
Say that
true.
again.
That's true.
We
That's
fear
true.
being inadequate. So
Yeah.
a lot of times when we want to, we don't want to expose that we were wrong about something because it shows that, all right, I felt like I should start the business and I was sure about that. The business failed. Now I feel inadequate to take care of my family or to take care of my home or hell, I ain't got enough money to pay the house note this month because I spent it all. Well,
Mhm.
to admit that I made a mistake admits my inadequacies, which is not that it's something wrong with you, but we all human.
Hmm.
We
Yeah.
we thought the shot was right, and we were wrong about that. So it happens over and over. But when we expose that because of black men, because of so much of what we don't have, we say that I don't want to be in that statistic. I don't want to be in that number. I don't want to be the man who did not provide for my family. I don't want to be, in my romantic relationships. I don't want to be the dude who didn't get a good. You know what I'm saying? To my lady. I'm in that, the fearing of the inadequacy of being a good father and raising your kids right, all inadequate on the job. So we always compare ourselves to the next individual, and the fact is that we need to focus on what we can do, realize that we can make these mistakes, and make sure that we try to right them when we can and admit them when we can, because that promotes honesty inside the home. And then also that allows growth in the individual. So if I can ever admit that I'm wrong, how do I get better? How do I make that critical self-assessment of who I am and become the better husband, the better lover, the better son, the better provider, if I can't see what's wrong with what I'm doing, how to continue to grow in that? Because sometimes you're not wrong about it. You just based it on what you know.
Let me ask you about isolation. Isolation. Uh, uh, some men, myself too, have a tendency of isolate myself when I don't want to be around a situation, even though that situation might be helpful. If I look at that fear in the face, isolation. What are some ways, some techniques we could overcome isolation versus going back into our little hub and saying, well, nobody's going to understand me, so I'm just going to just sit in my hub and just dwell in myself. How can I overcome that?
Well, the fact is that when I see isolation, many times it's not a bad thing. Sometimes in male behavior, when we're trying to figure something out, we want to be on our own so we can think. Essentially,
Mm-hmm.
for example, you know, just one thing that say a major life decision so far as asking a woman for marriage or whoever that may be. Normally the relationship would be going well, 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 well. And I'll have a woman to say to me, all of a sudden he's not speaking to me anymore. He's not expressing himself. He's not talking. Well, one, he ain't doing the wine and dine. He ain't lying as much. All right.
Okay.
He's becoming his real self. But as he's making that attempt to say, do I want to spend my life with this woman? He goes into a shell to go off and think before he makes that big decision on that next step. So there's a level of isolation where we take time within ourselves before we make our next move. But then there's the other isolation of the issue of continual fear, that fear of putting myself out there. Well, I fear taking, for example, I'm looking at NBA finals. 3 seconds left. I've got the ball. I've got one man to beat before I take the shot. Well, there are two things that you can do: either pass it off and maybe you all don't get the shot off in time, or you take the shot. The fact is that you will miss every shot that you don't take. All right. But if you take the shot, then you expose yourself for the scrutiny, all right, of whatever it may be. But if you make the shot, you become the hero. So the fact is that you can judge a person's accomplishments more by their failures than you can by their wins. What did you fail at tells me what all you have the opportunity to win. And nobody loses all of them. All right. So the fact is that if you went to the NBA finals and you lost 5 NBA finals, all right, some people will call you a chronic loser. But imagine how much winning you did in basketball to lose 5 NBA finals. Chances are you are a Hall of Famer. Okay. And you will go down you're going down in the annals of history, even though you lost all 5 NBA finals. So that tell me that the level of play and the level of gift that you had, even though you never made it to what may have been your ultimate goal. Trust me, at that point, basketball has been good to you, but you've got to be willing to put yourself in a situation to lose in order to win. And we won't win them all. Tom Brady has won the most Super Bowls, but he also has lost the most Super Bowls. Brett Favre has the most turnovers. But at the same time, he has a Hall of Fame career because he was in the position to turn the ball over on a big stage. Well, the fact is that some people, there are some Kobe's in the world where if it's 3 seconds of the game and I'm on the opposing team and Kobe has the ball, I already know we about to lose because it just goes that way for Kobe. The game slows down in the last 3 seconds when he has the ball. But for most of us, we get shaken in those moments, right? Right. So, but if you don't take the shot, you're going to lose, and you've got to be. I found that the majority of leaders and people who get ahead are fearless. And when people say fearless, not that they weren't afraid, but they were willing to take the shot.
So, Doc, let's talk about mindset. Mindset change, because a lot of Black men we're stuck in our ways, right? If it's not what we think it is, we're not going to do it. How can we overcome that?
Well, you will only be as big as you are if you're not willing to share and receive information. So we've got to be in a different sort of mindset, and we've got to have a different sort of people that we're around.
Okay.
I would tell you this: who was good for you back when you were 20 years old is not good for you who at 30. Because some folks stuck at being 20. Some people stuck at being 15.
Right.
I'm almost 50 years old, and I know people I know who are still doing stuff that we did when we were 15 years old. So people come in seasons, and you need to be around folk who you can share information with. And your folk around you should be growing with you. So we have to make sure that we keep a close eye on that and make those adjustments as needed.
Okay. Let's talk about fast forward. Let's talk about this. All of us most of us, not all of us, because I heard you say some terms about the Bible or some religious terms. Let's talk about religion. If most of these guys, if I'm not mistaken, most of you guys grew up in a background, a religious background, and that was the basis, the foundation of our personality to a degree until we got older and we took off some things and learned some things. And I'm not just talking about standard religion. I'm talking about any types of cultish or different practices from different things that we took on. How big is religion with our behavior? Black men, I'm talking.
Well, the fact is that what you said is very true. Basically, who we are is different, and what influences there are on us are different as we grow up. So basically, from the ages up to about 9, 10, our moral code is based upon the moral code of the people around us.
Okay.
All right. So if their moral code is based upon religion and they follow that, because I know folk who got a moral code of religion and they don't follow none of that, right? But that's our code. Now, when we hit adolescent years, around 12, 13, up to about 24, 25, our moral code tends to be the people that we're hanging around. Understand that it's rare for a teenager to get in trouble by themselves.
Correct.
Rare. It normally takes the second teenager to show up for a bad idea to pop up. All right. So who we're around. So whether we run in the streets or trying to chase skirts or trying to get after our books or trying to make money, trying to advance careers tends to have a lot to do with who are the influencers who are going to be around us. Mm-hmm. But the fact is that as we get older, it's important to realize that your moral code of your family, the moral code of the people around you, but then you start developing into your own identity and your own self as you hit an adult, and you pick and choose what you're going to be around and pick and choose who you're not going to run with. But we start to integrate ideas and information. We start to get more information, and I would recommend everybody be an avid reader. You got, understanding the world is very important, and then you make your code actually from that. So whether it be Christian or whether it be Muslim, agnostic or atheist, whatever it might be, your code starts to shape and form about who you are and what you are. And the thing also, as adults, you're quicker to leave things that don't fit you. So if that doesn't fit, I don't have a need to have friends at X place, because I'll make more friends. I got other things I got to worry about, including myself and my family, more so than those external things around me.
So this question, I want to ask the guys this question, and then we see that Pat, he joined the conversation. Welcome to the show, Pat. I want to talk about perception. Perception. What do you guys? First of all, it's a two-part question. What is your perception? What do you think people's perception of you is, and why is that? Anybody could go.
I'm not sure exactly, so I don't really hang around people like talk about it. So I'm pretty sure people think I'm isolated,
okay.
to myself.
And why is that?
I don't really say anything.
And why is that?
Because I hang to myself.
But why is that? I
don't know. Maybe it's it's probably like a different type of speed that I like to go every day, and sometimes if they're not on that same momentum, it'll slow me down, or I move too fast, something like that. So I just like to be in my own zone to myself most of the time. So
Okay. Kenny,
I
Pat?
mean, I probably chime in a little bit more. So let Kenny and Pat go.
I'm more of like I'm more of like a family oriented person. You know, I tend to want to be around family, may it be my family at home or my family, you know, abroad. Like, if I want to go visit, say you, Ryan, Pat, my brother, Adam. Um, I just think people know that that's the type of person I am. I'm a, I tend to try to get along with everybody, and and I and then on the other hand, I tend to speak my mind if I have to do that. Like if I have
Yep, you're going in and out.
Breaking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say,
did
you could you repeat that last
locked
part?
up.
You went in and out. You went in and out. The very last part.
What's the last thing you heard?
Say you like to be around your family, and everybody knows you as a family
Everybody
oriented.
knows me as a being a family oriented person, but on the other side, I like to, you know, with my family, friends, or whatever. I'm a type of person that will speak my mind about certain things that
Okay.
I feel strongly about, and they know that too. So, and I'm fine with how they feel about me. Like I don't. If they feel bad about me, I'm cool. If they feel good about me, I'm cool.
Okay.
You know?
Pat?
Stay in your ways.
That's really a question that I would have for you guys. But as far as what I think y'all perspective of me is, y'all probably think I'm just an isolated person to myself. I don't really do a lot. Uh, I have my purposes and reasons for that. But that's probably what y'all think about me. But that's a question I have for you guys.
I mean, that's pretty much. I mean, pretty much what it is. We think that if you believe, if we don't believe the way or think the way you believe, you don't want to deal with us or the people that don't believe how you believe. And I feel like if you have a certain type of belief, that's cool. We can have a conversation, but and we can move on. We don't have to talk about that. The love still is there, regardless of what you believe. We don't need to talk about that. We can talk about other things. We don't need to be counseled. I feel like that. We don't need to be pushed to the side. I feel like family's still gonna be family regardless, no matter what you believe. Everybody thinks a different way, but at the end of the day, you still family, and that's all you have at the end of the day. So it really doesn't matter what we believe. It just matters that you understand that we care about you and we love you. That's all that matters at the end of the day.
Ryan?
Mm,
We black men,
I
we gotta
guess
communicate, brother. This what we
I'm trying. If you
what the
give me a
purpose
chance,
is.
you're not even giving me an opportunity to say anything. Please, can I talk? Now, I think I guess since we're just look right now, I feel like everybody's not attacking you, but everyone's trying to say something towards Pat. So I don't think no one should just be. We shouldn't just be going like towards you saying this. But if I go around the table, I'll go around. I'll start with Pat, and I'll say that I think Pat has you have some unresolved stuff probably with other people that bothered you, and it kind of pushed you away from everybody else.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of what make the issue is with everyone else. They kind of make people say make him feel like what, I got to get myself away from them because I'm in a different place. And it's not that he's really trying to isolate us. He just feels he just feel like he got to be to himself. But I'm a little bit more open to understanding that instead of saying, look, he just
So,
over there.
so Doc, that's a good question. Ryan said something important. Unresolved trauma in just men in general. What does that look like? Unresolved trauma, and how do we know what unresolved trauma is from the outside looking in?
Yeah, well, I mean, adverse childhood experiences. If you look it up online, there's a study called the ACE study, or you could take the ACE test, which looks at things that may have happened in life: physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse. All those things go into who we are. And so essentially, we can start to judge others by our previous encounters, especially as powerful as childhood experiences are.
Okay.
So what we can develop is what we call triggers, where essentially somebody can say something, but the thing is that it's tied to another issue that reminds us from our childhood. So essentially, um, like for example, I just realized a trigger that I had that I never. My sister, my older sister, told me that I'm like, dang, I've been having that problem for a while. So as a child, a 18 wheeler came over on the car, so it
Mm.
smashed the glass. It cut me and my mother up, who were in the back seat, and so I had blood all over me. But the crazy thing is that sometime around middle school, I figured out that I can't stand wearing the color red.
Okay.
Well, where does that come from? That was being dripped in, my whole body is being covered. But also, I have a problem when I drive on the freeway and I'm next to a wall and there's an 18 wheeler. In my mind, the 18 wheeler is always coming over on me. All right. I'm mentally seeing that occur. Well, where does that come from? That comes from a trigger that I had as a child where it's paired. So an 18 wheeler in itself is not dangerous. It's an 18 wheeler. But in my mind, I see something else occurring that is not there based upon I'm pairing the car wreck with 18 wheelers. I'm pairing the red shirt with being covered in blood.
And what is self sabotage? What is that? What does that look like? Drinking, abuse, sex,
Exactly. Doing things that we know
anger.
are not going to be helpful to our current situation, but we do them anyway.
Okay.
So, you know, you know, I mean, when people self-sabotage. So as I talked about Shakira, I talked about Jeff Bezos. I mean, all right. So I mean, don't get me wrong, loving is good, but it ain't worth $1 billion to me. It ain't. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Like, how would you mess that over? With who? For what? But I guess if you got $1 billion, I guess you'll make another one. But the fact is that, like, what is that behavior about? Where you're doing things that are detrimental to yourself, that in hindsight don't make any good sense at all. So if we're doing that on a regular basis, everybody can make a mistake. But if you're starting to see a pattern of mistakes, that lets you know that maybe there's something going on that I need to work on, that I
Okay.
need to talk to a professional about, so I'm not self-sabotaging my situation. So essentially, every time the shot comes up, I pass it up. I'm passing up the shot, passing up the shot. Or something good is about to happen and I mess that up. If I'm doing that on a regular basis, I have to look at what are the factors that are going on in the back of my head that maybe not maybe conscious, but some of that decision making is unconscious to ourselves, where we keep sabotaging a good thing.
Doc, you said
Okay.
something that was super important, and I didn't understand the effectiveness of it until I got older. Counseling. I didn't start getting counseling until I became a man, because as Black men, what's the first thing you say when your
You don't
lady
need
or your wife tell you we need to get counseling? What's the first thing they say?
don't need it every time.
I don't need no counselor for what? He can't tell me nothing. He got
Yeah,
problems just like I got, right?
yeah.
I'm like,
Nobody
bro,
can tell me. Yeah, why
Well, we
why is
don't.
it as black men or black people, period, that we think that we don't need to talk to anybody? Why do you think that is?
Honestly, I see it more so as that same issue that I talked about when we first started, the secrecy of trauma and pain that we've been through for generations at a time. Not wanting to talk about what's going on, and it's only hurting us to not talk about it. So but the fact is this: I've seen more black men in the last 5 years of my practice than I know I saw in the first, 10 years. So, and I've seen more in the past 3 years than I saw in the last five. So black men are waking up to realize that we have issues that need to be worked through. And the fact is that being silent about it doesn't help us or our situation. I am a psychiatrist. I've got thousands of hours of training, but I still every once in a while have to go see somebody. And I saw somebody as a kid when my parents got divorced, and I've seen somebody as an adult as well. So some things, you got some things on your mind that are keeping you from developing relationships and moving forward. Well, you got to be in the mindset, I need to fix that. So essentially, I wear glasses. All right, I can see without them, but I can't see well. But sometimes things get a little foggy, and I need a crystal clear look at what's going on. And working with a professional can get you there, because everybody got something going on.
You're saying we have stuff going on. How do you get past the hurt and you know forgiveness? How do you get to that point? I guess if you're talking about black men and we got to hold things in and we're pretty much taking it on the chin most of the time. How do you get to the forgiveness? Are we supposed to ask for the forgiveness, or do we actually just forgive within ourselves and then get past
It's hard to say. Sometimes you need some time to go by.
it? Right.
You need time to go by. Sometimes you need perspective to go by. Maturity comes in. Uh, but the fact is that I would say you gotta, which one comes first, on forgiveness or forgiving other people or forgiving yourself. I would say you got to forgive yourself for your mistakes. As you grow older, you make more mistakes. You've done some people wrong. You could have did
Right.
things better in a different way. Forgiving yourself for knowing that I was young, based upon bad information, based upon what I knew, based upon what I raised, with the way I was raised, I thought that's how I was supposed to handle that. But now that I know better,
Mm,
I do better. When I was a child, I thought I was a child.
Right.
So but now that I'm a man, I put away childish things, which some of that is apologizing for the mistakes that we made. People believe you and love you when you're honest with them. Now, you don't want to necessarily go and incriminate yourself. I ain't saying you want to do something like that. I don't know what kind of mistakes people have made in their lives, but some of us have done
right.
some bad things. But we got to forgive ourselves for where we were. And I would say sometimes, it's good to talk to the other person and say, hey, I wish I had not done things or saw things differently at that time. But then you got to, if you can, once you can forgive yourself, you can forgive other people, because really that lack of forgiveness is what holds you back. That's the step that you're not able to make. And people being moved
Hmm.
on about their lives. And you're still mad about X, Y, and Z that has happened in the past. But if you can forgive yourself first, I think you can forgive most people. And then you move forward.
Okay.
Hmm.
Pat, questions?
I got a statement. I mean, that's the main thing right there. As family, we're talking about family and getting to the root of the matter. We have to be able to come to one another and talk freely. You know, once you're able to talk freely from your heart, then everything can get resolved like that. But we tend to just hold things because we think that the other person is not going to accept us anymore. You know, but all we have to do is come together and be open at all times with one another. Once we be open with one another all the time, then we can get past every single issue. There will be no arguments. There will be no chaos or confusion. You know?
And as Pat was saying, the problem is that so often we let stuff go. and we get angrier and madder about it. And then when it comes out, it explodes.
Okay.
So essentially, I don't know, maybe I'm in disagreement with my, I don't know, I'm gonna just pick, say, my sister. I'm gonna just, pick somebody. I'm in disagreement with my sister on how she does this when she's around my mom. All right. Well, if that hypothetical situation is going on, and I saw it the first time, and be like, hey, why don't you hold up when you show up at mom's house and you always asking to borrow money? All right. When maybe you need to share up your own finances. Well, I get mad about it. Now mom can't pay her own house note because she gave the money over here. Well, now we have Thanksgiving. We arguing over who gonna pay for the food.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I got the money to take care of it, now it blows up and the turkey is up on the floor.
Right.
Why is that? Because I didn't deal with the situation when I got tired of it 5 years ago. And now it is blown up in a situation where now the whole family doesn't speak to each other and we no longer eat Thanksgiving together.
Okay.
Right,
So essentially by letting those things go and not addressing them, they blow up to something bigger than what they should have been versus, I tell you what, things are tight. You need to work on some things that I can see, all right? And maybe I can help you out a little bit while you're trying to turn things around. But, now we're mad because mama don't have no retirement. And now we're blowing up on folk. And mom is in a bad situation now. We're all in a bad situation. Now the family's not speaking anymore because you got mad. You said something to her, and her husband said something to you. He came up in your face, and then he got hit. Now we got a problem. Now we're not speaking anymore. All right. So those kind of things, it's important that we talk about them, that we address them, and not let things fester because it can be handled on a small level. But too often those family secrets, then folk mad about, well, mama gave you more because she think you better than me because she sent you off to school and I had to stay here and work while you can, and now you telling me how I ain't got no money when I'm the reason you were able to go to school. And then, and now it's blown up to all this other stuff. But that typically is what happens in families.
That happens. And I think it's something, I think Ryan said it prior. He said something to the degree of, if I try to express this to you or counsel you or tell you, I'm taking that as, why are you telling me this? You can't tell me nothing. You're younger than me, or you don't have as much money as me, or you're not as successful as I am. Why should I take that information from that individual?
Well, I would tell you this much. Once it's said, it's out there. So you got to be careful about what you say. Everything on your mind don't need to come out. There's some truth to that.
Okay.
But if it's bothering you, sometimes a person can give you a better perspective on it if you handle it early. So you gotta check yourself on where you're coming from with it. But once it's out there, at least a person knows your perspective, even if they disagree with it.
Okay.
You may feel like, that the Suburban is the best, SUV there is. But you're like, come on, man. Now, you're going to tell me that it's better than the Cadillac and it's better than the, Range Rover or G-Wagon. The fact is that we disagree about it. But where I am with that. And now you can take my understanding into perspective when making further decisions. So by us saying it when it's small, people know, but like, listen, you got to realize you're running mom dry, on what's going on, and she has to be able to take care of herself. Be like, well, remember, I helped put you through school, so I don't have that ability to not ask for money now because whatever. Well, now we have a perspective, and we have an understanding, even though we may disagree.
Got you.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's the whole thing about being open. Just being open and listening to one another instead of casting judgment, because we all have our different perspectives, we all have our own experiences in life. So if we're open to hear one another, we may not agree with everything, but we're open to hear one another. So we're learning one another that way,
Hey, you never answered the question. What we think about you? What do you think we think about you?
I did. I answered it. Y'all think I'm isolated. You know, I'm to myself a lot. You know?
Are you?
Well, I have my purposes, man,
Well,
because
you see, you think that. I'm gonna say, are you? You just said it. You agreed.
Yeah, I've been isolated. I've
Okay.
been more of an introvert, you know, most of my life. You know, I'm coming out more now, but you know, that's life. That's where I was on the journey. You know, I had to learn that space. I had to grow my heart space, my courage, and all that stuff. You know, I understand all that. So that's why I was isolated, because of purposeful reasons. You know, not to get away from y'all, because I ain't love y'all, but I'm doing things for my purpose in life. You know, strengthening myself. You know, so that I can be a standout guy, and you know, be a leader, the leader that I need to be. You know, so it's just about being open and getting an understanding. All you have to do is ask the question, and then I'll let you know why I'm doing what I'm doing, instead of casting judgment and saying, well, Pat doing this, you trying to get away from us and all this stuff. You know, all you have to do is come to me and say, man, Pat, why you doing what you're doing? And not, hey, I'll freely tell you.
So, Doc, in closing, because I know you got to get out of here. I know you're a busy person. How can we heal as Black men towards each other? Well, first for self and each other.
Well, I appreciate you putting that self in there. I mean, we got to heal within ourselves before we get, you know, if you're sick inside, your relationships with other people are going to be sick as well. So essentially, you don't want to spread the infection of your own mind onto other individuals, because essentially a lot of times I tell people this: if I got a problem with this person and I got a problem with that person, I got a problem with my job, I got a problem with my kids, and I got a problem with my spouse, I got a problem with the church. You know, the fact is that the consistent thing is that I've got a problem.
Right. You sound like
I've
me,
got
Doc.
the problem. You know, so the fact is that what's the chance that everybody's water is bad? You know, now you could just not like water, but the water is in everything, whether you put Kool-Aid or sugar or whatever flavoring you may put in it, it's still going to be liquid. So the fact is that if you find that you're having that problem with everyone, the problem is probably you. All right. And you need to work on you. And once you're well with who you are and whatever quirks and whatever's good, whatever's bad, you know, once you're well, you tend not to have problems with other people. You accept them for who they are and what they do. You know, once you've forgiven yourself and then you've forgiven them, you know, all that other stuff is a formality. If they forgive themselves or if they're cool with you or not, I got it off my chest. Now it hurts when you're not reciprocated with people that you love. But the fact is that you can't control them, but you can't control what you do and how you behave. And honestly, you can work on how you think and how you feel about them. But once you got you right, the rest of it is like the rest. You're not waiting on the peace because you're already at peace with yourself.
Right.
I'm already at peace with the person because I've already gotten over me. So, and I hope you can get over you.
Also, brothers, I appreciate you guys for coming out your busy day, because I know, Kenny, you're on vacation and you other two guys got other things going on, so responsibilities. So, Doc, can I get your handle? Let the people know your handle. Where can they find you? What books you have and everything?
Yeah, so anyone can find me at Napoleon, Napoleon Higgins, Higgins MD.com, NapoleonHigginsMD.com. All my social media handles are at Napoleon Higgins. So all of those are at Napoleon Higgins. I have several books. This is Mind Matters, a resource guide to psychiatry for Black communities. This is an excellent book about mental health. So if you're dealing with depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, substance abuse, you want to know more about ADHD, this book is written in a question and answer format based upon questions that people have for us as psychiatrists, as we're talking about today. And we answer it back as if we're talking to our grandmother, Big Mama, Meemaw, Nini, whatever you may call her. So we're talking about science, but it's written on a 7th grade level, which takes out all the psychological terms and psychobabble and just real talk. And when you talk real talk about mental health to people, they understand it. We talked about trauma and triggers and all that. This is just real talk. This is what mental health is about that people deal with on a regular basis. I got 2 other books here. This is How Amari Learned to Love School Again. I'm sorry, yeah, Learn to Love School Again, a story about ADHD. And then I have one more book called Bree's Journey to Joy, a story about childhood depression and grief. So this one on grief and depression, this was on ADHD, and this one is about general mental health. Please pick up a book. You can find them all on Amazon. You just type in Napoleon Higgins, you'll see all 3 of these books. I have another one that talks about contract negotiating and the job search, how to look for the right job for you. That's called Transition to Practice, the number 2 practice. But just type in Napoleon Higgins on Amazon and you'll see all the books there. And these books are really about communicating good information to our people. So they all come from a Black perspective. I'm from Houston, South Side, so Sunnyside, South Park, South Acres, Hiram Clark, Alameda Plaza, Missouri City, graduated from Willow Ridge High School, went to PV, Harry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee, and then UTMB at Galveston for adult, child, and adolescent psychiatry. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, Adam. Thank you for reaching out. I appreciate the people who sent you my way. And I love to talk to Black men about our mental health because we can get better than where we are today. And I've seen this movement going on where we want to understand ourselves and step out of our secrecies and deal with our problems, step out of our inadequacies so that we can step into strength. So thank you, brothers, for having me here today. I appreciate it.
It's dope.
Hey, thank you, Doc.
All right, appreciate you, man.
And guys, do you guys want to give you guys handles for the people so if they want to talk to you, if you have any questions, anything?
At DJ_K_Dub4. Need a DJ, holla at me. You know what I'm saying? I'm here. That's it.
Ryan?
Can't find me anywhere. I don't have any handles. I'm not on social media. Don't even look for me.
I got you.
I'm glad to be here.
I got you. Hey, Pat.
Patrick Nelson on Facebook, Instagram, Golden1Cs. That's pretty much it, man. On YouTube, I am.
Dope. Guys, look, this is the Culturally Distinct Podcast. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure, like I said at the beginning, make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. We got some dope content coming. We got the dating in Houston part 2 coming. Doc, we're gonna have you back on. So look forward to my email coming. We won't have it in the in-person format this time. So, but guys, I thank you for tuning in. Much love. Peace.